Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
War. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again with Salt Strong Unchurched. We're talking about the war. As I'm recording this, we are still in a war. I anticipate it will probably be happening even on the next Unchurched. Could be wrong, but that is my gut feeling. And over the past week, as things have unfolded here with Iran and a lot of other surrounding countries, I've kind of been going down a couple different rabbit holes of people I follow, from some prophetic people to biblical, scholars, and it's very fascinating. No one's saying the exact same thing, which is also can be confusing. But the overall theme that is pretty consistent is that there is a lot of reference to Iran or Persia in the Bible. There's a lot of references to that in the Bible, and many are saying that this is way bigger than oil or nuclear bombs or regime change. That this is good versus evil. Regardless of your thoughts on going into the war, if it's good or bad, I don't think most people would just be saying war is always good, because it is bad. We've already lost some lives, and that is not good for obvious reasons. But when you have these bigger wars, these bigger battles, spiritual battles, good versus evil, which I do believe personally that there's a lot of that going on in this war. It's tough to say that it's good or bad if good ends up winning. And I'm, please don't think I'm trying to downplay lives, but we have been very, very, very blessed as a country. I don't think we realize how good we have it. There are a lot of people that want to complain and say America's bad and, blah, 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 the stuff that you see, a lot of protesters and stuff complaining about, but we don't have a regime that's killing people. I mean, regardless if the number's right about Iran killing 30,000, of their own people, their own civilians, even if it was half of that, even if it was a quarter of it, I mean, to have 8,000 or 10,000 people die at the hands of your own country, that's horrible. I mean, the first week of the war, we had, 6 Americans who have passed away. God bless them. And obviously tons of prayers to their families. And I can't even imagine the how that feels. So once again, I am not trying to downplay that at all, but we're talking about 6 people that have lost their lives and the impact that's had on their families. Can you imagine 30,000? And that's not just Iran, that's countries everywhere. There is just a lot of evil out there where if you disagree with your leader, you could be beheaded. There is no trial. You are dead. Your family's dead. I mean, it is really, really evil and sickening what is out there. And we are just so blessed. And not just the fact that we have free speech and we can say things without being beheaded or stoned or killed without even a trial. But, we haven't really had a war in a while either. I was just doing some research. The last one that I remember as a 47-year-old was, the Gulf War. I obviously wasn't around for Vietnam, but the Gulf War, there was 147, it says, U.S. battle deaths, and maybe 50,000, even 100,000 Iraqi military fatalities. They never got a full number. And then you go back to like World War II to put it into perspective of what, our grandparents went through. 405,000 Americans died during World War II, 405,000. And we have 6, and once again, I am not trying to downplay that at all. So please, hold your fury or anger back towards me, but I'm just trying to put in perspective of how lucky we are in general as a society. And I would point that to say that we are good, regardless if you or your family members or your Facebook friends agree on every policy and everything going on in America. We are really, really, really blessed and fortunate. I am praying personally that this war does not escalate and, does not end up bringing terror and terrorism and other sorts of craziness that we've seen over the years on our own soil. I'm praying for all the soldiers over there and their families that they do come back home quickly and safely. I'm hoping that this is over sooner than later. I think we all do. But my gut tells me that this, regardless of how quickly it ends, it won't be the end of it. There is so much evil out there. And kind of the message of this, there's a twofold. One, I felt just shared just to share some things that I've personally been doing and believe in is someone who likes to be prepared for the worst. But the other one is just to pray. It's easy to get, animated or angry or have an opinion and disagree with others on the war and what's right, what's wrong, why we're doing it, et cetera. But I think, like always, so much goes back to taking the higher route and just to pray and to pray for God's blessing of all these people, and even the people here in America who are complaining and picketing and angry with everything. You've probably heard the theme that's been kind of rolling through a lot of these Unchurched this year, and if I could pick a word, it'd just be unity. There's a reason that we went with United States of America, and I feel like we're in a cycle right now where we're not really united. I don't think anyone could disagree with that, regardless of what side you're on. We are just not united as a country, and sadly, at least in my lifetime, the last time I really felt like things were turning around and we got united and we're all kind of rowing for the most part in the same direction was 9/11. It took something bad, something evil for us to all as neighbors to put our flags out and to say, yeah, we're not going to stand for this evilness and we're not going to let terrorism reign in our country. And we're going to come together united as a country to fight this. And that is my other prayer, that there is some good, so maybe some even greatness in terms of unity that does come from this. As I'm recording this today, it doesn't seem that way. And sadly, sometimes things have to get worse before they can get better and bring that unity. Obviously, 9/11 was horrific and very, very bad. But it did bring us together as a country, and so did World War II and World War I and the Revolutionary War and Civil War and all these things that are very bad, at least in our definition of bad. But in God's definition, a lot of it's just that winter season, right? And once again, I'm not trying to downplay war or someone going through something horrible or having a death in the family or cancer. I had cancer myself. And it was, a pretty serious deal where, there's talk of not just the chemo. It was a real deal, cancer, not just getting some stuff cut off my skin to, dying at 28 years old. And that really woke me up. And in my mind, I thought that was the horrible. And it does sound horrible, but looking back, knowing what I know now, man, that really changed my life for the best, for the positive. I ended up meeting my wife because of it. I ended up, finally changing careers. It was the kind of the impetus that got me, I guess, bold enough to quit my job when I realized life was short and wanted to pursue something that made me happier, which ended up evolving into Salt Strong. So many great things happened because of my cancer. So all that being said, I urge you to pray over this, to pray over all these soldiers and all the leaders, regardless if you love them, like them, hate them. We got to start going back to praying and trying to get unified again. I've been praying that there is something that happens here to unify us. And if it is a war, as bad as that sounds, that might be what we need to finally get unified again as a country and as a society. It is sad. I mean, I heard a true story from a close friend recently with someone that they were just going fishing with. And the person, I can't tell too much of the story because it's sensitive, but long story short, the person said, don't ever come back. You're not allowed here, just because they offered to pray over them. It says, we just don't see the same way politically. And that's the first time I've heard someone get angry about someone offering to pray over something that they had shared and was going on in their life. It just seems like we are just so divided, and that is just so crazy for any business owner to shut someone out just because they believe in power of prayer. I don't know, it really bothered me, and I wish I could tell the full story, but it is just like jaw dropping of what we're going through and dealing with. So back to the preparedness. And I don't know that this is the perfect way to do it, but let's just say it does get worse before it gets better. And, things don't go as planned, and there are terrorist attacks here on our own soil. I just ask you guys to be prepared. Have some extra food. Have one of those like Berkey water deals. I don't know if you've seen those, or it's essentially a filter that you could put lake water in the thing and get fresh water. $400 or $500. Just put it in your attic if you don't need it, and then if you ever do, great, you have it. You hope you don't ever have to use it. Have some backup food supply. Have a little bit of silver coins. Gold's maybe a little bit too much to be buying at $5,000 an ounce right now, but have some silver coins, have some cash around. If you believe in carrying, have some extra bullets around. I mean, we haven't lived through a really crazy time in a long time. And in general, that is when people and civilizations put their guard down. Once again, we haven't had a real war where we lose hundreds or hundreds of thousands of people in a really long time. And unfortunately, it does tend to go in cycles. And there is a chance that there could be another one down. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week or this month or even this year, but I mean, historically speaking, and if you look at cycles in history, we are kind of due for some sort of war. And so I would just have yourself, your family prepared, have your wills and trusts written up, have a plan if something does happen. Imagine if something happened during the day. I'd look at it with my kids in school. All right, what's the plan? Does my wife, if all of a sudden communications are knocked out? We haven't had any of that. We've had a couple little spooky times in the past where, Verizon went down for a half a day and people were freaking out. They couldn't access their bank accounts. They couldn't call people. They couldn't text people. What if that went out for a week? Where do you have a meetup place? Like, what's the plan? And I think so few of us think through that. I honestly hadn't until recently. And I was like, man, I don't know that I really have a family plan if stuff started just kind of falling apart. If we were attacked, once again, not with missiles per se bombing us, but I think even scarier is having electricity grid go out, or having the internet go out, God forbid. What would we do? How would we access cash? How would we buy stuff? How would we get stuff delivered from Amazon? So just have some backup stuff. I'm not saying be a crazy prepper and dig a basement or a bomb shelter, but just have the basic stuffs in your possession. It can't hurt, and you hope you don't ever have to use it. And if you have money around, I mean, good time to invest in things like gold. This is my personal take. This is not investment advice. I'm not an investment advisor, and don't do that anymore. But if it was me, because I'm doing this personally, I'm investing in gold and some gold stocks. And the reason why, regardless of the war, we are printing money at a crazy pace. We will continue to print money at a crazy pace. And there is only so much gold out there. We can continue to print money as fast as we want. I mean, we could literally grow the money supply by 30, 40, 50% if we want to in a really short amount of time. Whereas gold, you're talking 1% to 2% in that same time frame. It just doesn't grow at the same supply. Me personally, take it for what you will. That is something I would be looking at, even at these crazy highs right now. Owning some sort of gold is not a bad idea. Um, and then going back to some of the things that we've covered, having a vision statement, having a mission statement, in case something happened to you, where at least your spouse and your kids and your grandkids know what you stand for, and what your hopes are for your own family. I think it's a good time to take a quick pause, say some prayers over all this, and just make sure that you're prepared in case something does happen. Like I said, I pray constantly. I pray every morning, talk to God, and I hope it doesn't. But as I alluded to earlier, sadly, it sometimes takes what we consider a bad thing for us to get where he needs us to be. And going back to the biblical piece of this, if you do read the Bible or have read the Bible, I've shared that I've read it now quite a few times. I can't even keep track of all of the stories and all of the leaders that God put through a really horrible time, either a war or famine or both, to get them back to basically worshiping him and not a bunch of idols. It's countless, and not just the few that maybe we've all heard about in Sunday school, but I'm talking about some of these leaders I've never even heard the name. Nesabekiah did, just long names that I've never even heard of these people before until I really read the Bible. And it's one after another, and it says, yeah, this was a bad leader, and here's what happened. God put them through war, and even though they had a larger army, he destroyed them all and made them basically go away from their bad ways and turn to him. It's just one after another. And I'm sure at the time that was horrible for them, but it was good in the big scheme of things, of good versus evil, and turning to God in times of death, horrific things, etc. So all that being said, I just wanted to share this on my heart this morning as I was praying this morning. I said, I just want to talk about this. And the other thing too, I watched quite a few church services on Sundays, and when this quote unquote war first kicked off, it was on a Saturday, and the next Sunday, I don't know that anyone really talked about it or even really brought it up. I think maybe one brought it up briefly, but I do feel like it's something we should be talking about and not just brushing off. I mean, can you imagine what it's like to live over in Iran as a good person? They're great people there. In Israel right now. I mean, can you imagine? I've got one friend who was there on a mission trip and is, hopefully home now as I'm recording this. They were trying to whisk them away safely. But I have another buddy who I've met through some conferences in the past that lives there with his family. And I message him and he's like, yeah, we have our little shelter that we go to. And anytime you hear the bomb siren and you hear, you kind of feel your house shake, it's getting close. Like, can you imagine what that's like? We are so blessed. We have no idea, I think, until you go to a place like that and live through it, or even sense hearing bombs dropping or bomb alerts going off, the fear of that alone, I can't even imagine. So we are so blessed. And I think times like this are good reminders to make sure that we're communicating and having a walk with God, to make sure that we're appreciative of our country and our leaders, even though it is certainly not perfect. Nothing is, except for God and for Jesus. But appreciate it. Like I said, we are so blessed. And if you're listening to this and you're alive and you're living in America and you have a house and you have enough money to get food, man, like, we're blessed. There are just, millions and millions and millions who don't have any of that. And I'm not even talking about living in America. Just don't even have a house or food. So, praise God, praise Jesus, keep us all safe here. I hope all these soldiers do come back, and I hope that is the number. I hope the fatality number is less than 10, for all this. But my gut says that even if this mission ends successfully, there will be many more. We all know that. There will be other times of tribulation, and just always good reminders to stay prepared, to stay in prayer, and to love your neighbors too. Lift up everyone during these tough times. Love you guys. Hope this made some sense. If you have any thoughts, I know anytime you start talking about war, it's tough to get everyone to agree. And I'm not asking you to agree with me, just to be open-minded. Like I'm trying to be, as I listen to these biblical scholars talking about, Persia and Iran and how that played a role in the Bible and how it might play a role going forward. I don't have all the answers, and that's why I'm trying to learn and just keep an open mind to all this. So if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, concerns, feedback, whatever it is, I love to hear from you. Joe@saltstrong.com. Otherwise, I will talk to you on the next episode. Stay safe. Tell your kids, your parents, spouses, all your relatives, you love them. Life is short, and I love you guys. So appreciate you. Talk to you in the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul.